Today, in our last summer service, we're going to be hearing from members of the Survive and Thrive team about this year's common read, Social Change Now, a guide for reflection and connection by Deepa Iyer. Wherever you are on your journey of finding truth and meaning, whether you arrive joyous or with a heavy heart, we are happy that you've chosen to be here with us this morning. If you're visiting us for the first time, we offer you an especially warm welcome. We hope that all will stay after the service for a time of conversation and connection. Conversations can happen on Zoom, here in the Great Hara, or out in the back garden where it is beautiful today.
We're now going to take a little bit of time for some sitting together in relative stillness and relative quiet. You might place your feet on or towards the floor. Maybe your hands are resting in your lap or wherever they are most comfortable. Maybe you're closing your eyes or watching the chalice flame or softening your gaze towards the floor. Or maybe you're softening your gaze towards the most recently harvested veggies and flowers from in my garden. Whichever posture you are embodying, wherever you have turned your eyes, allow yourself to soften. That's right. In this moment, when there are terrible and hard things happening, where our so-called leaders are wreaking havoc, engaging in cruelty, encouraging violence, I'm inviting us to allow ourselves to soften, to notice where our shoulders are, and maybe allow them to come away from our ears, or to roll them up and back if you've been kind of hunched over in a protective stance, to soften. And to gently notice how your breath is. Does the idea of softening allow your breath to feel more full, or do you get more anxious? And just noticing. If you invite your breath to deepen, might your body feel safer to soften? Your chest to soften, your abdomen to soften, your jaw to relax a little. And anything else that might be clenched, to invite it to soften. And somehow we can still be upright without being rigid. This body is remarkable, really. These bodies that we travel in. And our bodies are carrying what is happening, what has happened. So in this moment, let us give our bodies the treat of softening to help counterbalance all of the preparedness and fear. And remind ourselves that we are held in love. And to notice the ease of air entering and leaving your body in just its own way. And if breathing isn't actually that easy for you, to soften into that truth too, and to just be with your breath however it comes and goes from your body, but to be with it. Coming in and going out at its own pace. And as your breath continues to nourish your body, and if you can, allow yourself to be held by your seat, in whatever way that means for you. To be held by the floor, the earth below us, to allow gravity to hold us in place, in this place. To allow ourselves to be met fully and held well by architecture, by gravity, by love. And if tears come, let them come. And if joy comes, let joy come. Breathing and softening. We, each of us, are part of the ecosystem that is UU Schenectady. And for ecosystems to thrive, there needs to be a climate that is conducive, a way of tending to what is needed, of paying attention. Just like the sunflowers and tomatoes, the peppers and squash need water, nourishing soil and sun, we need things too. Air and water and soil nourish us through these foods, but in this gathering, we attend to this building that we're in, these benches, this carpet, this technology that allows us to connect together and with those beyond this room in our Zoom sanctuary. We need to attend to the ecosystem that involves our mission, this mission of compassion, justice, and joy, to know that everything we do, every worship service, class, group, team, committee, all exist to serve the mission of the congregation. Or else it's time to let them go, just as the trees let leaves go or let branches go. We too can let go of what no longer serves, even as we embrace what is serving. And of course, we need to tend to one another. From newcomers and first timers to long timers and everyone in between. It matters that you've chosen to be part of this circle today. It matters. And though transformation and deep connection can occasionally happen in an instant, often they take a little time, some effort, and a willingness to soften, a willingness to be seen, to be known, and a willingness to open, to see and know others. We breathe, we soften, we open. And if you happen to notice that your friend resistance shows up, perhaps there's something there for you to learn. If some part of you is resisting, maybe just notice that. And soften anyway, giving yourself that permission. See what there is to learn, because learning is part of this congregational ecosystem too. What do we need to learn? Breathing and softening. The metaphor of light is woven throughout the service today. We need both light and darkness, of course. Light is, of course, literal sun, fire, electricity, and metaphorical, a lightness of spirit, or the light within, or that person seems to carry a light of hope within them. Perhaps for this next minute or so, you might meditate on the power of light as inspiration, as guide, as caregiver, as weaver, even the power of light to disrupt, to change and transform, and acknowledge that sometimes light leaves. And after some shared contemplative quiet, Maria will play a piece called Guiding Light by Alexis French from his album Truth to help us gently continue on with the service. Breathing, softening, opening to light. This month of September's theme is Start Where We Are. As we begin a new church year, there are more questions than answers, perhaps, which is not that uncommon for many Unitarian Universalists. Where are we now? What are we facing today? What do we need? Who do we need? Who needs us? Who needs us? How will our faith help us get through these challenging times? Together, we can meet this moment, but we need to know what the moment is that we are in. Our denomination, the Unitarian Universalist Association, or UUA, chooses a book known as the UUA Common Read each year. And this year's book, as Lars named earlier, is Social Change Now, A Guide for Reflection and Connection by Deepa Iyer. Ms. Iyer has collaborated with and gives credit to Erin Siegel and Julie Cho of Thick Press, and also Julie Cho, Alice Chung, and Karen Su of Omnivore for the format and structure of this book. In the preface, Miss Iyer gives the reader some context. She writes, "This guide is a humble contribution to the vast landscape of existing books, frameworks, and ideas about social change movements and leadership. In 2017, Deepa, wrote an article on Medium that offers both a visual framework and a set of steps for addressing the family separations, the Muslim ban, and immigration raids happening during that time. In 2020, as the pandemic began, I revised the framework to reflect new ideas and examples of how we could play different social change roles during a time of unprecedented crisis." She goes on to acknowledge several justice and movement organizations, people, and books, recognizing that she is part of threads and weavings and ecosystems. I attended a workshop hosted by the UUA's Side with Love folks back in the spring when this book and this framework were being introduced in Unitarian Universalism. She is warm and humble and open and curious. And she, as many powerful leaders in justice circles do, names her identities and acknowledges how those identities impact her. Towards the end of the preface, she writes, "Finally, I believe that it is important to explore, interrogate, and understand how we enter different spaces and how our presence and privileges can affect others, both intentionally and unintentionally." In my case, she says, the framework and ideas presented in this book are no doubt influenced by my own experiences, opinions, biases, and layers of personal privilege. I am a cisgender woman who was raised in an upper caste Hindu family in India and the United States. I am a naturalized U.S. citizen fluent in English and a lawyer and writer with economic access. While those privileges certainly play a part in shaping how I come to this book, so do my experiences with exclusion, othering, and racism, both as an immigrant who moved to Kentucky at the age of 12, as a woman of color, and as someone who works closely with community members facing the effects of multiple forms of oppression in the United States. I'm in a state of consistent learning and conscious awareness of these influences, and in that spirit, I welcome your productive feedback on how I can do better. When you think of doing social change work, what are the types of things that come to mind? Protesting, donating. Say it again. Carbon footprint, thank you. Mutual aid. There's lots of kinds of things that are part of social change work. We often do think of these things, including things like calling or visiting elected officials, or letter or postcard writing. And there are so many different types of work, so many different types of gifts and skills that are needed to help bring about actual change, actual betterment of society and one another's lives, and the care of species and the Earth's self. And what's exciting to me about this work is that the framework that Deepa Iyer has created helps us think a little bit differently about doing the work of justice. And she invites the idea of the metaphor of an ecosystem. Not one person trying to do all the things, and not one way of addressing all the injustice, but multiple people embodying different roles with multiple approaches to injustice and violence, oppression, and or organizational strength and betterment. And one thing in particular that I appreciate about the framework is the invitational nature of it. It invites us to start where we are. What am I interested in? What am I good at? What is needed? And that we can engage in the framework as an organization, such as UUSS. What are we skilled at? What resources do we have access to when we join together? What do we need to do, and who do we need to partner with or follow the lead of as the most marginalized and most impacted communities in order for us to engage in the work effectively? Who do we need to be in relationship with? We're not supposed to be trying to change things just ourselves. We are actually meant to be in relationship, to build relationships, to tend to relationships, to soften in relationships. She writes, as you work through the guide, I encourage you to ask, how can I bring my wisest self forward to collaborate with others in order to bring about systemic societal transformation? There are juicy questions like this throughout the book. An opportunity to read, yes, but also to engage with the text thoughtfully. Ms. Iyer notes, the social change framework embodies the idea that we are all part of an ecosystem, and that when we come together around shared values and goals and play our roles effectively and collaboratively, we can make our boldest visions reality. She defines an ecosystem in this context as a community, a home, or a place and space where we feel a sense of belonging, familiarity, and alignment around our values, goals, and strategies for the future, and where we emphasize the importance of cultivating, nurturing, and sustaining relationships, connections, and solidarity. So UUSS is an ecosystem, a place we hope folks will feel a sense of belonging. Guided by an alignment of our UU values And when we are working on a project or partnering with others to bring about some kind of justice or social change, that we are cultivating relationships, connections, and learning how to practice true solidarity. The graphic on the screen, a series of small circles connected to one central circle. The central circle are noted values in this particular model. This is the framework that Deepa Iyer developed. The concept is that the values are held at the center, and then the smaller circles around the center values are 10 roles that are often part of social change movements or organizations. The entire framework embodies an ecosystem approach, which means that when we play our roles, deepen connections, and nurture our relationships, we can more effectively and quickly reach our common goals. Those 10 roles are weavers, experimenters, frontline responders, visionaries, builders, caregivers, disruptors, healers, storytellers, guides. Each one of the roles has their own particularities of characteristics, skills, and strengths, and the supports they need. And together, we create more possibility. This framework can help us let go of the tendencies that white supremacy and patriarchy have taught us, those tendencies of individualism, of saviorism, of control, of binary either-or thinking, and lean into the collective, into the messiness, into shared power, into both and thinking, into collaborative solidarity. I know that it can be easy to slip into being overwhelmed right now. Every day, our government is actively trying to destroy our nation. Every day, our government is targeting people who are immigrants, who are mostly brown-skinned people, people who are transgender, who are attacking the media and science and history, while sowing misinformation and undermining trust and security every day. For some of us, it means we want to hide our head in the sand, so to speak. Keep a low profile, we'll just wait this out. I've had several conversations with people who I don't really know over this summer because I bring it up everywhere I go. I'm just gonna lay low. Hopefully it'll pass. It's not gonna. But for some of us, it means that we are running around trying to do all the things. And we've quoted Reverend Ashley Horan multiple times, and you will hear us continue to say it because it's a good reminder to ourselves. We need to take shifts for the revolution. Amen. That means we can't do all the things all the time. And it means we can't just lay low either. One of the best things about this framework is that it says right in the graphic and right on the page, none of us can be all 10. None of us should be all 10. One organization might not even be able to do all 10. We need one another in small ways and in larger ways too. And we need one another because we are part of an interdependent web of existence, right? Our Unitarian Universalist faith teaches us that. An ecosystem that very much wants things to be better for all living beings. And we can't get closer to that aspiration, that reality, if we are burnt, crispy toast, right? From running ourselves ragged. Nor if we just freeze or hide, nor if we fight all the time. Last spring, we launched a new ministry team, the Survive and Thrive team. And the purpose of this new team is to build a community of practice on the knowledge, tools, skills, and spirituality needed to both survive and thrive under the constant threats coming from the current administration. We'll learn new ways of living in the world that don't rely on unethical institutional structures, but on each other and the networks we build and possibilities of being that have yet to be imagined. That's darn good work. Yeah. And really hard. Really hard. The Survive and Thrive team, rooted in revolutionary wisdom, aims to provide offerings to teach us how to resist the forces that strive to cause harm and destruction, while strengthening a UU vision as we provide opportunities for praxis for a better world. It's a powerful vision, and it's a reason for hope. And this team encourages you to get this book. It is published by our own denomination's Skinner House Press, which you can go to and get the book from them, which is, as an independent bookstore, they need your support too. And later this fall, we'll be hosting a multi-session class on the Common Read, the curriculum of which is shared by the UUA. You can watch circuits for details on how to sign up for that class later this fall. In the meantime, consider getting the book and start looking through it. And think about which circles resonate with you and which circles you might resonate towards or grow into. Now, a few of our team couldn't be with us this morning, but two members of this team will offer a reflection about social change and these roles and their own experiences in thoughtfulness and heartfulness. Elby Hannes and Kendra Senna will share their words with us.
One of the things I love most in the work that I do is helping people in the workplace understand the organizations that they are part of as living, breathing ecosystems. The ecosystems can either be fed and nurtured, or they can be neglected. And given the state of labor in the United States, you could argue that most workplaces as ecosystems are neglected. But all organizations, communities, societies are ecosystems. But the American culture of hyper-individualism has fed us the belief that individual needs are more important than the greater good. One of the things I appreciate most about this year's Common Read from Deepa Iyer is a deep dive into seeing our lives as more interconnected, not only in day-to-day living, but in the striving for a more just, equitable, and safer world. The organizer activist Grace Lee Boggs wrote, and this is quoted in Social Change Now, "Movements are born of critical connections rather than critical mass." This quote reminds me that to have numbers is not enough. The numbers need to have movement and momentum for change to happen. And showing up is the first part of participating in social change. The first step must then be followed by working together to meet the needs of the moment. Like Reverend Wendy said, Iyer's framework offers 10 roles in the ecosystem of change. And while I can see myself in several of them, the one that I feel myself most identifying with in this chapter of my life is storyteller. The storyteller's keywords are generative, accessible, and inspiring. And to be honest, I feel a little sheepish saying that last one out loud. To own and identify with inspiring. But as an educator and a writer, the goal at the forefront of my mind is not to inspire, but I suppose anyone that educates, writes, or tells stories for a living is trying to inspire something, inspire some kind of change in some way. So with humility, I'm trying to accept that inspiration aspect of the key words. To better prepare myself for this role as storyteller, to evolve into it more, I have recently started an online course for creative writing to harness my writing and figure out what to do with it most effectively. For years, I have wanted to pursue creative writing more seriously, but partially out of fear and other parts of the business of life, it has been on the back burner. But if not now, when? I want to hone my skills to make the complicated and beautiful more accessible so that we all can access the complexities of this world for both pleasure and the pursuit of justice. Ta-Nehisi Coates is an American author, journalist, and activist. His latest book, The Message, Coates says he has originally set out to write a book about writing in the tradition of Orwell's classic Politics in the English Language. But Coates found himself grappling with deeper questions about how our stories, our reporting, and our imaginative narratives and myth-making expose and distort our realities. It's a beautiful book of 3 intertwining essays that grapples with writing and human rights through Coates' trip to Dakar, Senegal, Columbia, South Carolina, and lastly, Palestine. In this book, he quotes Audre Lorde's poem. Lorde writes, "The quality of light by which we scrutinize our lives has direct bearing upon the product which we live, and upon the changes which we hope to bring about through those lives. It is within this light that we form those ideas by which we pursue our magic and make it realized. Coates goes on to say about Audre Lorde's poem, Audre Lorde was writing about poetry, but I think her words apply across all arenas of writing. You cannot act upon what you cannot see. And we are plagued by dead languages and dead stories that serve people whose aim is nothing short of a dead world. Storytellers must write the stories of the now and of the future so that our path to liberation is something we can see, so that we can act. Being part of the worship team and the Survive and Thrive team here challenges me to take my writing out of my head, out of the ideas of liberation, the theory, and turn it into practice, into something that is accessible, something that is possible for us all. But storytellers alone cannot make change. That's why this model is so compelling to me. We need people in all the roles to bring about transformational change. And I'm looking forward to hearing and learning from the rest of you as we dig into the collective roles in our ecosystem and pursue the magic of liberation for all of us.
And let us share our closing words, written by our friend and colleague, the Reverend James Galasinski, who serves the congregation up in Canton, New York. Our faith, like a light, illuminates the path before us so that we can face hurt with love, cultivate compassion, live humbly in community, and confront despair with the awe of life. Though our flame is extinguished, our faith shines bright before us. May we create a beloved, beautiful week and build a new way.